Well guys, bit blowy out here. Okay, so hopefully I got this camera sorted out now and the sound is a lot better. But we've got two things going on with it. We're going to have a plug-in walk-alone remote microphone at some point on the end of this for some of the other scenes. Unfortunately, I ain't figured out all the video settings because, as you just saw, assuming you see what I'm seeing, it just went very dark very quickly. So I've still got a long way to go with this before I figure it out perfectly. At the moment, 4K is turned off. I don't know how that's going to come out, so we'll see how we get on. I can't really figure what to say. So this week we're going to try. I was hoping to get it running this week because somebody did ask that, and I said soon. But I've got no money for fuel at the moment, so all I can do this week now is tidy up all the wiring inside there, get that put back in, get some brackets made for one of these to go on the bulkhead, which is that one, and then put them all back and then start running all the wires where I need to run them. But before I put all of that on, I just need to get in the engine bay and clean up all of the areas that need sorting out. Like there's a few more brake lines to be clipped in place, for example. I need to do that. A little bit of welding. I've got the power steering pump. I could do with a bolt to push it away from the engine, because at the moment I'll show you, the belt is not quite lined up. And what's happened is, let me move that out of the way gently, is when I tightened it up here, that pushed that in. That needs to be pulled out. So we need to run a 10mm in one of them holes with a nut welded on, and then we need to wind that in so it actually physically pushes that belt straight. Otherwise the first thing that's going to happen as soon as I run the engine is going to fly off and be a bit of a nuisance. I also need to get a slightly longer bolt for that as well, because this has got to go back in, and I went and put a short bolt in there. I could feel that thread ringing, but I now put a longer one in, but I had to go further in to avoid the damaged thread. Okay, so that's what it did look like, sort of. Now it's a lot tidier, so everything is now bunched up. I know where everything is. I can now shove it all in there like so. That one will go in. I've got the other one around here somewhere. There it is, down there. So I've just got to do the same with that one. Cable, crimp everything together. Ooh, don't want to lose those. That's a point. Where's the others? So I'll put both of them back. I've got the lives. This one here has also got to go on the bus bar, so we've got to take that off and screw them down. That one is for the outer, and then I've got to weld in a couple of brackets to put on the bulkhead, get a piece of inner tube and a Jubilee round that. Okay, there you go. A lot tidier than it was before. However, I never writ the colour codes down, so all of that has got to come undone again at a later date. Do you know what? I just can't be arsed with it today. I'll leave the rest alone, because this is the only one I need to mount on the bulkhead. There, that's where it's going, so I'd need to cut a hole there. But how on earth would I get to a Jubilee clip without a very, very, very long screwdriver? Well, these ammo boxes, oh, I don't know if I should have used them. All that was in the way when I was at the front, and now it's in the way at the back. Bloomin' things. These are my new brackets. That was the plan, but now the hoses are in the way of that. Okay. New latch. Not the easiest of things to do one-handed. And I won't lie, I rushed this, so it's come tomorrow. If the weather's good, I can go about fitting everything, but they do tighten up, even though they're a bit juddery because of the angles. That one could definitely be done. I could do with longer levers, if I'm honest. Okay, that's kind of where it's going to go. Shouldn't get in the way of anything. If I need access the engine, obviously, then I'm going to have to start pulling stuff off. There was just nowhere to put it. Those boxes are just too big for the job, unfortunately. Well, I'm not entirely happy with this. That's all on. You can see the bracket there, it's all painted and mented. I've just got to pull that away. But look, this is what I'm concerned about. Man, I took the lid off to stop the rattles. So what I'm going to have to do, reluctantly, I have to cut a piece of angle that is literally from that point to that point, and I'm going to have to weld it to these and weld it onto the edges. Well, that should do the job. All painted up. Can't really help the brush lines. It's just the way it come out, really. Cut the runs. I should be dry in a couple of hours. We'll whack out on. Having a bit of a hard time at the moment figuring out whether I should whack that electric system in now or build the rest of it up. I don't have all the wire, so I thought, it's a hot day today. Trust me, it was earlier. About an hour ago, it was so hot, you know, pouring sweat. And I thought to myself, why don't we paint this foam up with some tar, and the heat will just dry it overnight, and then we can cut that all up and go about fitting it soon in here in all these gaps. I've got the hammerite, so it's nothing to stop me from carb cleaning the walls down and just painting everything as much as I can get painted, you know, and then we can put in the soundproofer and get rid of some of this tinny noise, which is mainly here and up there. So I'm thinking hot, so I get everything out, sun goes in. Just typical. Glue this stuff up on the wall, the sealant will hold, and it won't help completely, and it probably is a load of nonsense, but in my head it will help waterproof it. This is just one big fat experiment. There's a whole tin gone on that. Right, well there you go. The idea is, and there's no guarantees at working, don't know where that's gone. I had a bit of it lying around here somewhere. I'll show you in the last video, but there doesn't appear to be any. What the idea is this combined with a polyurethane sealant. If we put polyurethane sealant on here and get a spatula and scrape it across, I'm hoping that that black sealant on there will act as a kind of primer and a moisture deterrent. No guarantees whatsoever this is going to work. This is just another one of my experiments. I peeled the backing off because I didn't want to put this stuff on and then have to peel it off, or it falls off because the binder that they put on isn't strong enough. Once this goes on, it stays on. That's kind of my thought train on this. If this works, I'll get another tin of that stuff. It's not cheap. And I'll do the other sheet that I've got. I've only got 2 bits, and I'll do the other bit for the roof. So, okay, first one's in, and I still haven't drawn up the loom on paper. The switch unit that goes up in the roof, I did quickly do that, and I'll just write in all the joins. I know which wires go where. It's still fresh in my head at the moment, so not so much that one, but the rest of them. It's so hot at the moment, I can't deal with this heat. It's not really. So this takes a good couple of days to dry, but that is already nearly dry. Okay, so we've got to rebuild the other one. We need to put that one back together, and then we need to bolt that in, and then we've got to take the connection here, and we've got to somehow fit that into the bulkhead, bearing in mind I have a broken corner because I got lazy when I was pulling that apart. I don't know how I'm going to get around that. I think the best thing I can do is make a steel plate, so push that through and make a steel plate, cut a slit in it so I can bend it round, and maybe put some sealant around that and screw the metal plate in. Okay, so I've insulated all of the wire with tape, and then I've put this, I don't know the name of the stuff, but this shrouding over the top. I need to get some more P-clips so I can clip this up properly over the window frame, because this one is for the top. As you can see, painted all the interior up, put in 2 cable holders, just got an earth to sort, but we'll worry about that closer to pinning that up. I had to make a joiner, but that should be hidden. I hope that's hidden. If not, then we'll have to come up with something else for that, because at the moment I don't know what. So I put some fatter pipe work around the plugs. We've just got to put some insulator around that one, which is the ignition. I want to hide that if I can, and the same with that one. That's the alternator, so if we can hide a little bit of that up, I'll be happy as hell. That way I can then tape over all of that lot, but I don't want, actually no I can't, because there are wires hidden in there that come off that plug. There are more wires to go into this plug for the interior stuff. I don't know what yet, but I do know there's more to go. So no, I can't go too far into this. Stage 1 of this install. I don't know if you can see that, but the first plug is now in place. However, we did remake that one to reach, but I overcooked it on this one, because originally I thought that box was going there and that one was going there, so I made that one long to reach all the way around. Now I've got bloody short on it. That's the results of my painting. I killed the grass a little bit. I think what's happened as the petrol fumes went through and then the sun beamed on it because it was a hot day. I think it will recover. It's just going to take a bit of time. Never mind. These things happen. Well, they do with me frequently. Anyway, look. It's been a bit of a strain, this one. The box just fit fine. The wiring would not. Don't know if you can see that one, but we've had to cut the entire, you can see the screw, well, we had to cut all of that off and then put sealant inside where the wires go in order to stop that from hitting. I can't raise the height up because all the holes are drilled, and I can't move it out, I can't do anything with it. So that's the best I can come up with on that one. Even that one was a nightmare. Various mistakes made this week. I've had to go back on myself several times when I was building these wire and loom up. For some unknown reason I thought that box was there and that box was over there. No, so I made the wire and fit everything, so the wires are extra long from that point to that box, which would have been here. And then when I put it all together, I suddenly realised that I needed to extend the other side, and so yeah, I extended it, and then I went out to the shed about 4 days later. I went out to the shed and decided that the long length needed to be cut down, so I ended up cutting the newly put in long length. and when I realised what I'd done, I had to re-lengthen it again and then chop the other one down. Now I've done it. I don't know if the loom works. It should do, but I don't know if it do. So it's one of those hit and miss things at the moment. So we've got all of those little wires down there to fit to the various ancillaries. This is for the alternator. I suddenly realised that I think that has to go through an ignition switch, because otherwise the light will be on permanently. So I've got to look up in my bookwork to see how that goes, because I've forgotten. I know there's 3 wires, one big large charge wire, and there's 2 others. One goes to the light, and I think from the light maybe to the ignition switch. Not 100% sure, and there is a 3rd one, but I don't think that's used. I don't know, I can't remember. We're just going to have a look and see where we go. So it's Friday today. I'm burning out on this thing. I'm going at it as quick as I can. There's no money, so I can only go as fast as my money will allow me, and my time this week I've not been very well anyway. So yeah, I've actually done more damage this week than good. I even broke the lid for that, unbelievable. So yeah, as I said, it's been one of them weeks. So I'm not doing any more now. I've got some new bits and bobs that's come for the camera, some mics came through the door today, professional stuff that I bought cheap, had been refurbished, so hopefully it's all good and we'll be able to use it. So next week, I'm just looking at this thing now. I know we've got some welding to do at some point. I can't put fuel in it till that back has been welded up, and I'm rather inclined, is that the right word, to remove the fuel tank. Is that the right word? Anyway, that's what I want to do. When I get that bugger out, that will give me that whole space to jump in then. Knees are not so good these days. I'm whinging, I know, I'm just pointing out. I don't want people sitting there saying, well, you're taking your time. I'm going as quick as I can. If it ain't the finances holding me back, it's my health, alright? It is what it is. So we'll get that welded tomorrow, next week, sorry, if we've got good weather. And then we can put the fuel in. Once I've got that done, and I've got the rest of the wiring done, we can then put the fuel in. Yes, yes. And fire her up, reverse her back up a little bit, get that wing reset, and then we'll drive it forward. That frame in the front there, I don't know if you can see that frame, but that frame right there, it's got to be cut up and disposed of, and then we will whisk it up to the top of the garden to this position here, where I've now got to have a clear up over here now. So I've got some scrap to get rid of soon. We'll scrap that tank, put the pallet under there completely so we get everything moved up. I have no intentions in opening those doors at this point in time, but what I do have intentions in doing, somewhere in that rubbish over there, is there, you can just see it poking out. There is a Jaguar axle, and I need to pull that out because I've got to pull it apart. There you go, you can just see the top half through the forks. That new trike build I want to do, I want to get myself a little bit ahead of that on the planning side of things. I'm not doing anything with it at the moment. I just want to make sure it can be done. If it can't be done, then the bike may go and I'll get this thing back on the road. But that's kind of where I'm at. Give me some finances then to buy this new truck that me and the wife want, and we'll get rid of that damn lorry. and we'll put this beauty on the road. Keep life a little simpler. So for now, this is it. Got a few extra clips to put in, and then we can plumb all the wiring up where it needs to go. We'll weld up next week. Be a bit noisy next week, can't be helped. We'll weld that up, and then I think we're going to fire this thing up for the first time in 2 years. Reverse that up, and then we'll move it to the top. I've also got to get the soundproofing done on the inside, so when I do get round to filling and sanding that back, I won't be so like a big drum vibrating. That's the plan anyway. So that might come next week as well. So with that in mind, I want to say thank you very much for your likes and shares on the previous video. It wasn't the greatest video in the world, and thanks for your comments as well. I'm very grateful for your comments, and we will see you next week with a bit of luck. So you take care. Bye bye.